Welcome to Audio Mentors, the channel where we share valuable knowledge through audiobooks. Today, we begin a new literary adventure with The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. In this book, we'll explore how our emotions and behaviors influence our decisions about money far more than we realize. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our episodes. Also, feel free to leave your comments and share your thoughts on the book. What do you think about today's lessons? Would you like to hear more books about finance, psychology, or any other topic of interest? We're here to learn together. Now, join me in this exploration of timeless lessons about wealth, greed, and happiness. Let's get started. Introduction: The Greatest Show on Earth. 1. A New Way of Understanding Money. Morgan Housel introduces the concept that financial success doesn't solely depend on technical skills, such as reading financial statements or using advanced formulas. He argues that psychology and behavior have a deeper impact on financial decisions than any technical calculation. The central premise of the book is that money isn't managed with pure logic but through emotions, experiences, and unique contexts. 2. Two contrasting stories. Ronald Read, a janitor who saved methodically for decades, invested in simple stocks, and accumulated over $8 million, which he donated upon his death. His story reflects how patience, consistency, and time are key allies to financial success. Richard Fuscone, a high-profile executive with a privileged education, went bankrupt due to poor financial decisions driven by unchecked ambition. His failure demonstrates that technical knowledge and social status do not guarantee financial stability. 3. Money as a soft skill. Housel emphasizes that money isn't governed solely by rigid principles like physics or mathematics but is a soft skill, shaped by psychological and emotional factors. An example he cites is how people make financial decisions not based on facts but on how they feel about risk, security, and their personal goals. 4. Context matters more than numbers. The author argues that financial decisions are deeply influenced by individual context. Each person interprets money through their own experiences, explaining why what seems logical to some may appear irrational to others. Example: someone who grew up in poverty may take a conservative approach to risk, while someone from a wealthy background may make bolder decisions. 5. The importance of emotions in finance. Financial decisions are rarely made entirely rationally. Factors like fear, greed, insecurity, and optimism play a crucial role. The 2008 financial crisis serves as a key example. Most decisions that led to the economic collapse were emotional, reflecting overconfidence and greed. 6. The spectacle of financial diversity. Housel describes how everyone lives in a different economic reality, which is reflected in seemingly illogical decisions, such as buying lottery tickets. For someone with low income, it represents hope for a life-changing opportunity, despite the slim odds. Spending on visible luxury. Many prefer to showcase wealth rather than quietly accumulate it because the immediate social rewards are more tangible. 7. Lessons learned by the author. Morgan Housel shares how his experience writing about finance during the 2008 crisis led him to realize that psychology and history are more useful tools than mathematical formulas for understanding personal finance. He introduces his concept of the psychology of money as the key to making more balanced and fulfilling decisions. 8. A unique approach to the book. The author promises not to overwhelm readers with technical data or extensive analysis but instead offers 20 standalone chapters exploring the most important and paradoxical aspects of the human relationship with money. His goal is to help readers understand themselves in relation to money and make more informed decisions. In this chapter, Housel lays the groundwork for the book, emphasizing that our relationship with money reflects our emotions, personal history, and ability to make balanced decisions in a complex and often unpredictable world. Chapter 2. No One is Crazy. 1. Introduction. Morgan Housel begins this chapter by highlighting a fundamental truth. What may seem irrational in other people's financial decisions makes sense within the context of their lives. People aren't crazy for the financial choices they make. They are simply influenced by unique experiences that shape their perspective. The author invites readers to reflect on how their life stories influence their financial actions and how these, in turn, lead to outcomes that are often incomprehensible to others. 2. The influence of personal experiences. The power of experience. Housel explains that financial decisions are profoundly shaped by the economic events and conditions people experience, particularly early in life. Personal financial experiences represent only a tiny fraction of what happens globally, perhaps 0.000000001%, yet they account for 80% of how we interpret and act in the financial world. Concrete examples. Someone who lived through the Great Depression is likely to view saving as a vital necessity and spending as a luxury, whereas someone raised during an era of economic abundance may develop more liberal attitudes towards spending and credit. A person who grew up in an environment where stock markets were volatile might avoid investing altogether, while someone who witnessed a bull market may see investing as a reliable path to wealth. 3. The impact of social and cultural environment. Financial decisions don't occur in isolation. They're influenced by economic, social, and cultural conditions. Generational impact. Those who grew up during periods of high inflation are more likely to distrust financial markets. Social class. People raised in poverty often develop an urgency for immediate rewards, e.g., playing the lottery, which wealthier individuals may not understand. Global environment. Individuals from developed countries tend to have very different perspectives on risk and financial security compared to those from developing nations. Global differences. Housel uses the example of a Chinese factory worker who views working in an exploitative factory as better than becoming a prostitute, illustrating how cultural and economic context shapes decision-making perceptions. 4. The subjectivity of financial decisions. Financial decisions make sense within the context of personal histories. Housel illustrates this with the example of lotteries. Low-income households disproportionately spend on lottery tickets. While this may seem irrational for them, it represents a tangible hope of changing their financial situation, something they feel they cannot achieve through traditional means. Buying tickets isn't crazy, it's an emotional response to desperation and perceived lack of options. Emotional, not logical, decisions. Few financial decisions are made using spreadsheets. Instead, emotions, personal stories, and immediate incentives play a far greater role in shaping how we act with money. 5. The case of the Great Depression. A generationally traumatic event. Housel discusses how the Great Depression emotionally scarred millions of Americans, influencing their financial behavior for the rest of their lives. This generation adopted extreme saving habits and a distrust of risk, which was often misunderstood by their children or grandchildren who hadn't experienced the same trauma. Contrast with John F. Kennedy. During the same period, the Kennedy family thrived due to their investments. For John F. Kennedy, the Great Depression was merely a historical event he learned about while studying at Harvard, not an emotional experience he lived through. 6. Studies on how environment shapes behavior. Research findings. A study by economists revealed that people tend to make financial decisions based on generational experiences. Those who grew up during periods of high inflation invest less in bonds throughout their lives. Individuals who experienced bull markets tend to have greater exposure to stocks later on. These decisions are not influenced by intelligence, education, or financial sophistication but by the experiences that shape their perception of risk and reward. 7. Empathy and understanding in finances. Housel argues that much of the criticism of others' financial decisions stems from a lack of empathy and context. Example: comments on an article about working conditions in sweatshops illustrate how people from different cultures and backgrounds interpret labor differently based on their available alternatives. 8. The youth of the modern financial system. The challenges of making financial decisions also stem from the fact that the modern financial system is relatively young. Until the 1940s, most people worked until death because the concept of retirement didn't exist. Instruments like the 401k and IRA have only been around for a few decades. This means that, in many ways, we are all learning and experimenting with money in real time. 9. Final reflection: no one is crazy. Every individual's financial decisions reflect their unique experiences, fears, and aspirations. People do not make choices that, in their minds, lack sense at the moment. Instead of judging others, we should understand that money is a deeply personal and subjective topic. This chapter serves as an invitation to be more empathetic and understanding of others' financial decisions, recognizing that everyone views the world of money through a different lens. Chapter 3. Luck and Risk. 1. Introduction. Housel introduces two inseparable concepts in financial life: luck and risk. These invisible forces significantly impact our financial outcomes and are often underestimated or misunderstood. The author emphasizes that nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. Success and failure are more complex than they appear and are deeply influenced by factors beyond our control. 2. The influence of luck on success. Bill Gates' story. Bill Gates attended Lakeside School, one of the few schools in the world in the 1960s with access to an advanced computer. This gave him the opportunity to develop skills that uniquely positioned him to lead the technological revolution. Gates acknowledges this extraordinary luck, stating, "If there had been no Lakeside, there would have been no Microsoft." The rarity of his circumstance. In 1968, only 1 in a million students had access to similar resources, highlighting how a unique opportunity can change a person's destiny. 3. Risk as a counterbalance to luck. Kent Evans' story. Kent Evans, a close friend of Gates and a member of their group of prodigies at Lakeside, had the same potential for success as Gates. However, he died in a mountaineering accident before finishing high school. This tragedy demonstrates how risk can drastically alter even the most promising opportunities. The connection between luck and risk. Luck and risk are two sides of the same coin. Both are the results of a world full of uncertainty and factors beyond our control. While luck can amplify success, risk can diminish even the best-laid plans. 4. The difficulty of measuring luck and risk. The case of Vanderbilt and Rockefeller. Cornelius Vanderbilt and John D. Rockefeller are celebrated as visionary entrepreneurs. However, they operated in an environment where bending or breaking the law was common practice. Their success could be attributed to boldness, or simply to avoiding legal consequences. This raises a key question: to what extent is success due to replicable skills or fortuitous factors? Benjamin Graham and Geico. Benjamin Graham, regarded as the father of value investing, accumulated much of his fortune through a large stake in Geico, a decision he himself described as a stroke of luck. This example illustrates how even experts cannot completely separate luck from skill. 5. Lessons on luck and risk. The problem of attributing outcomes to effort. It is common to attribute success to hard work and failure to poor decisions, but this perspective overlooks the fundamental role of luck and risk. Example: a successful investor might have made reckless decisions that paid off due to luck, while a cautious investor might have failed for reasons beyond their control. The danger of simplistic narratives. Simplified stories about success and failure often ignore the complexity of luck and risk, leading to incorrect conclusions about what should be emulated or avoided. 6. A practical approach to understanding luck and risk. Seek broad patterns. Instead of analyzing extreme cases, it is more useful to study general patterns. Extreme cases are often overly influenced by variables beyond people's control, such as luck and risk. Adopt humility in success. Recognizing the role of luck in one's success fosters a more realistic perspective and prevents arrogance. Forgive yourself for failures. Understanding that risk is an inevitable part of financial life helps individuals face failures with less guilt and more resilience. 7. Final reflection. Luck and risk are omnipresent forces that cannot be fully controlled or predicted. Accepting their influence allows us to be more humble in success, more understanding of failure, and wiser in our financial decisions. This chapter invites readers to reflect on the unpredictable nature of financial life and approach both success and failure with a more balanced and empathetic perspective. Chapter 4. Never Enough. 1. Introduction. Morgan Housel introduces the idea that many people fall into a dangerous trap, not knowing when enough is enough. The author explores how unbridled ambition, combined with social comparison, can lead to self-destructive financial and personal decisions. 2. The story of Rajat Gupta. The rise. Gupta was born in Kolkata and orphaned as a teenager. Against all odds, he became the CEO of McKinsey, the world's most prestigious consulting firm. His success earned him seats on the boards of major corporations and opportunities to work alongside global leaders like Bill Gates. By 2008, his personal fortune exceeded $100 million, placing him among the world's wealthiest individuals. The downfall. Despite his wealth, Gupta wanted more. He longed to belong to the exclusive circle of billionaires, which led him to engage in insider trading schemes with investor Raj Rajaratnam. Gupta's illegal actions landed him in prison, destroying his reputation and career. 3. Bernie Madoff, an extreme case. Legitimate success. Before being infamous for his Ponzi scheme, Madoff was a successful businessman running a legitimate brokerage firm, generating millions of dollars annually. The downfall. Madoff could not resist the temptation of wanting more, leading him to construct a Ponzi scheme that eventually collapsed, leaving a legacy of fraud and devastation. Key lesson. Both cases illustrate how the inability to recognize enough can lead even the most successful individuals to make decisions that destroy everything they have built. 4. Capitalism and social comparison. The engine of ambition. Modern capitalism excels at creating wealth, but it also fuels envy by fostering constant social comparisons. Examples of comparison. A baseball player earning $500,000 a year may feel poor compared to a teammate earning $30 million. Even billionaires, such as hedge fund managers, may feel less wealthy when comparing themselves to magnates like Jeff Bezos. The endless cycle. Social comparison sets an ever-rising bar, making it practically unattainable and perpetuating a sense of dissatisfaction. 5. The danger of constantly moving the goalpost. Housel introduces the concept that many people continuously adjust their expectations as they reach new levels of success. This creates a cycle in which they always feel behind, even if they are objectively ahead. Example. An investor who reaches $1 million may redefine their goal to $10 million, feeling unaccomplished until they achieve this new target. 6. Enough is not mediocrity. Redefining enough. Housel argues that recognizing what is enough does not mean settling or being less ambitious. Instead, it is a way to protect what you already have and prioritize what truly matters. The case of risky investments. Some investors, such as members of long-term capital management, risked everything in pursuit of even higher returns, losing their fortunes during the 1998 crisis. This exemplifies how insatiable desire can be destructive. 7. Things not worth risking. Housel emphasizes that certain things, such as reputation, freedom, happiness, and personal relationships, are invaluable and should not be risked for more money. Example. Rajat Gupta justified his actions by claiming his reputation didn't matter. However, Housel argues that reputation is one of the most valuable assets a person can possess. 8. Practical lessons. Avoid the comparison trap. Accept that there will always be someone with more wealth or achievements than you. Constant comparison will only lead to dissatisfaction. Define what is enough. Set clear, realistic goals for what you need to live well, and be disciplined about not moving the goalpost once you've reached it. Prioritize what matters. Remember that money isn't everything. Happiness, time, relationships, and health are priceless assets. 9. Final reflection. Housel concludes that the most difficult but also the most important financial skill is knowing when to stop. The insatiable desire for more can be dangerous, but cultivating a mindset of enough helps preserve what truly matters. This chapter encourages readers to reflect on the importance of appreciating what they already have, avoiding destructive comparisons, and prioritizing life's truly valuable aspects. Chapter 5. The Complication of Confusion. 1. Introduction. Housel begins this chapter by exploring how unnecessary complexity in personal finance can lead to confusion, poor decisions, and ultimately unsatisfactory financial outcomes. In a world abundant with complex financial products, Many fall into the trap of thinking that more complicated equals better. 2. The power of simplicity. Lessons from investing. The simplest strategies, such as consistently saving and investing in diversified index funds, often outperform more complex tactics. Example, index funds, which are straightforward and easy to understand, have proven to be one of the best long-term investment tools for most people. Historical example. Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett's mentor, emphasized that investors do not need complex formulas to succeed but rather a disciplined mindset and a simple approach. 3. The obsession with complexity. Why we complicate finances. Housel argues that the financial industry glorifies complexity to make financial products appear more sophisticated and exclusive, justifying high fees. People also tend to overcomplicate their finances as a way to demonstrate knowledge or superiority. Associated risks. Complexity can create an illusion of control, but it actually introduces more variables and uncertainty into the decision-making process. Four. Simplicity versus complexity in financial decisions. Simple and effective decisions. Often, the simplest decisions, like sticking to a budget or saving regularly, are the most effective. The problem with complex decisions. Complex strategies are more vulnerable to human errors and the impact of unpredictable external factors, such as market fluctuations. 5. Example from the stock market. Unrealistic expectations. Many investors complicate their strategies because they aim for extraordinary returns. However, the author argues that consistently achieving average returns is a far more powerful strategy than chasing spectacular gains that are rarely attainable. The example of day trading. Housel notes that day traders often fall victim to their own complexity, attempting to predict short-term market movements instead of adopting a simple long-term strategy. 6. The paradox of complexity. While financial systems and economies are inherently complex, personal financial decisions don't need to be. Comparison with other disciplines. Complexity may be necessary for designing an airplane or an operating system, but in personal finance, simplicity is usually more effective because it reduces the likelihood of errors. 7. The impact of confusion. Demotivation and paralysis. Complexity can overwhelm people, often leading them to avoid making important decisions like saving or investing. Practical example. Many people delay retirement planning because financial products and strategies seem overly complicated, even though a simple solution like investing in an index fund could address much of the problem. 8. How to avoid unnecessary complication. Adopt a minimalist approach. Identify the few key factors that truly matter in your finances and focus on them. For example, spend less than you earn. Save a fixed portion of your income. Invest in low-cost, diversified assets. Avoid the temptation of excessive knowledge. Housel points out that knowing more about finance doesn't always translate into better decisions. In fact, it can unnecessarily complicate your approach. 9. Final reflection. Simplicity is key. Simplicity is not only more effective but also reduces the stress associated with financial decision-making. Housel concludes that the key to financial success is not in pursuing complex solutions but in mastering the basics and applying them consistently. This chapter emphasizes that in personal finance, less is more. Adopting simple strategies and focusing on the essentials can be the safest path to financial stability and success. Chapter 6. Getting Rich versus Staying Rich. 1. Introduction. A crucial distinction. Morgan Housel highlights a fundamental distinction in the financial world. The skills needed to get rich are not the same as those required to stay rich. While getting rich often involves boldness, calculated risks, and ambitious vision, staying rich depends on prudence, humility, and preparation for the unexpected. 2. Getting rich, the role of risk. The importance of risk-taking. Accumulating wealth requires a willingness to take risks, such as investing in assets, starting businesses, or seizing opportunities others might consider risky. Example of boldness. Housel mentions how many individuals who become wealthy, such as entrepreneurs or investors, made bold decisions at key moments, capitalizing on opportunities with the potential for high returns. The problem of overconfidence. Initial success can lead to a sense of invincibility, prompting even greater risks and, in some cases, the loss of everything. 3. Staying rich. The importance of prudence. A different mindset. Staying wealthy requires a shift in focus where protecting capital becomes more important than chasing high returns. Practical example. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in the world, attributes much of his success not just to making money but to not losing it along the way. His rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. The role of humility. Acknowledging that the market is unpredictable and risk is always present is critical to avoiding impulsive decisions that could jeopardize accumulated wealth. 4. Balancing boldness and prudence. Lessons from market cycles. Housel examines how people tend to be overly optimistic during bull markets, leading to excessive risk-taking, and overly pessimistic during bear markets, often making rash decisions to sell. Historical example. Many fortunes built during market bubbles, e.g., the dot-com bubble, were lost because investors failed to reduce risks and secure their gains. 5. The psychology of long-term financial success. Avoiding complacency. Staying wealthy requires a mindset of continuous learning and disciplined focus. Complacency can lead to ignoring warning signs and losing financial control. Preparing for the unexpected. Housel stresses the importance of maintaining a margin of safety to handle unforeseen events like economic crises or personal emergencies. This includes saving adequately and diversifying investments. 6. The fragility of financial success. The case of Jesse Livermore. Livermore, a famous Wall Street speculator, built and lost massive fortunes multiple times due to risky decisions and a lack of capital preservation strategy. Key lesson. Accumulated wealth can vanish quickly if not managed prudently. Staying rich means accepting that not everything is within one's control. 7. Practical approaches to staying rich. Diversification. Avoid putting all your eggs in one basket. This includes diversifying across various assets, industries, and geographic regions. Controlling expenses. Housel emphasizes that many fortunes are lost not due to bad investments but because of excessive and unnecessary spending. Long-term mindset. Maintaining a long-term investment horizon helps avoid emotional decisions based on short-term fluctuations. 8. Final reflection. Key takeaway. The author concludes that getting rich is a significant achievement, but staying rich requires different skills and a completely different mindset. The key lies in combining the boldness needed to generate wealth with the prudence required to preserve it, adopting a mindset of balance and preparation for the unexpected. This chapter highlights the importance of recognizing that financial success is not just about accumulating wealth but also about protecting and managing it sustainably over time. Chapter 7. Tails You Win. 1. Introduction. The concept of tails. Housel introduces the idea that financial outcomes are often driven by extreme events or tails, representing a small percentage of circumstances but yielding disproportionate impact. The key to financial success is learning to identify, capitalize on, and tolerate these tails rather than ignoring or fearing them. 2. The nature of tails. What are tails? In statistics, tails refer to events occurring at the extremes of a distribution, whether extremely positive or negative. In finance, tails represent key moments such as investments with exceptional returns or economic crises causing significant losses. Example of tails in action. A small percentage of Warren Buffett's investments, like Coca-Cola or American Express, has disproportionately contributed to his total wealth. These are his winning tails. 3. Tails in financial markets. Nonlinear distributions. Market returns are not evenly distributed. A few extraordinary days can account for the majority of annual market gains. Housel mentions that missing just the 10 best days in the market over several years can drastically reduce total returns. Example of tech companies. Companies like Amazon, Apple, and Google exemplify winning tails in stock markets. While they are a minority, they generate a significant portion of the market's overall growth. 4. The importance of tolerating tails. Embracing uncertainty. Benefiting from winning tails requires enduring periods of uncertainty and volatility. Many investors exit prematurely due to temporary downturns or disappointing early returns, missing the chance to experience the benefits of a winning tail. Example of Amazon. Amazon, one of the world's most successful companies, has seen its stock drop by 50% or more multiple times in its history. Those who endured these declines were the ones who truly profited from its success. 5. Tails in other aspects of life. Innovation and discoveries. Housel notes that progress in fields like science and technology also follows the pattern of tails. A few fundamental discoveries, such as electricity or the internet, have a disproportionate impact on society. Professional careers. In the workplace, a small number of successful projects can define a person's career, while most projects yield average results or even failures. 6. How to identify and leverage tails. Diversification and patience. Investing in a diversified portfolio increases the likelihood of being exposed to a winning tail. Patience is key to allowing these investments to mature and reach their full potential. Avoid emotional decisions. Tails are often unpredictable. Attempting to time them can lead to costly mistakes. It's better to adopt a consistent and disciplined strategy. 7. Practical lessons. Adopt a long-term perspective. Understand that major financial successes result from a few significant events over time. Accept volatility as part of the process. Recognize that winning tails come with risks and volatility. The key is resisting the urge to abandon ship when times get tough. Don't underestimate the power of the unexpected. Housel argues that many of the best financial opportunities arise from events no one predicted. Stay open to the unexpected. 8. Final reflection. Tails account for most extraordinary successes in finance and life. To benefit from them, one must adopt a long-term mindset, diversify, and have the patience to endure uncertainty. This chapter highlights that success is not a linear process but a game of probabilities where winning tails make the difference. With this chapter, Housel encourages readers to think more strategically about financial decisions and to take a broader view of how significant results are generated over time. Chapter 8. Freedom. 1. Introduction. Housel's definition of freedom. Freedom is the ability to control your time, which he considers the greatest wealth money can provide. This chapter explores how money, beyond offering material goods, should be used as a tool to gain independence and autonomy. 2. True wealth. Control over time. Why time is invaluable. Time is the only truly finite resource. Having control over how you use your time is one of the greatest forms of wealth. The problem of golden chains. Many people chase wealth and success only to become trapped in lifestyles that prevent them from enjoying what they've achieved. Example: a highly successful executive may earn millions annually but lacks freedom if their time is consumed by work and meetings. 3. The illusion that more money equals more happiness. The limit of material satisfaction. Housel argues that beyond a certain point, earning more money does not significantly enhance happiness. Instead, the stress of maintaining costly lifestyles or chasing endless financial goals can detract from life quality. Practical example: someone who earns enough to cover their needs and save may have more freedom than someone earning twice as much but burdened by financial commitments and debt. 4. The connection between money and choices. Money as a tool for choices. Having money allows you to say no to things you don't want to do, such as a job you hate or commitments you don't value. The paradox of financial freedom. Many people use their money to purchase material things when what they should really buy is freedom and flexibility in their lives. 5. Example of Bill Gates and his time. Housel highlights how even Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest individuals in the world, prioritizes control over his time. Gates organizes his schedule to ensure he has time for reading and reflection, which he considers essential to his success. 6. The costs of lacking freedom. The emotional cost of not controlling your time. Being constantly busy without time to rest, reflect, or spend with loved ones can lead to burnout and unhappiness. Example of a meaningless career. Many people feel trapped in jobs they dislike but don't make changes because they believe they have no alternative. This is the cost of not using money to gain freedom. 7. How to use money to gain freedom. Build financial margin. Housel suggests saving and living below your means to have the flexibility to say no when necessary. Avoid unnecessary debt. Debt can become a financial prison, limiting your options and forcing you to work harder to pay it off. Prioritize time over things. Instead of spending money on luxury items, invest in experiences or reduce obligations that take up your time. 8. The importance of conscious decisions. Housel emphasizes that every financial decision should be made by asking, will this give me more freedom or take it away? Practical example. Buying a cheaper car and using the savings to reduce working hours or invest in personal development can provide more freedom than a luxury car that increases financial obligations. 9. Final reflection. Freedom is the ultimate goal that should guide financial decisions. Having control over your time and the ability to live on your terms is the highest form of wealth. Housel concludes that true happiness comes not from how much you have but from how much freedom you have to live the life you desire. This chapter invites readers to rethink their relationship with money, using it not to accumulate possessions but to gain control and flexibility in their lives. Chapter 9. The Paradox of the Man in the Car. 1. Introduction. Housel examines how people often pursue wealth and material possessions as status symbols, believing this will earn them admiration. However, he argues this perception is an illusion. People don't admire the luxury itself but imagine themselves with it. 2. The Man in the Car. The Paradox. The author explains that when we see someone driving a luxury car, we don't admire the driver. Instead, we imagine ourselves behind the wheel. The common mistake. Believing that status comes from material possessions when, in reality, the impact on others is far less significant than we think. 3. Why we seek status. The human drive for admiration. Housel suggests that much of our pursuit of wealth and possessions is driven by the desire to be admired. This drive is natural but often leads us to chase things that neither contribute to our happiness nor shape how others truly see us. The problem with acquired status. While people may notice your possessions at first, admiration rarely lasts. Moreover, objects don't foster genuine personal connections. 4. Perception versus reality. A change in perspective. Housel argues that true status doesn't come from material things, but from how you treat others and the positive influence you have on their lives. Practical example. Instead of spending on luxury goods, people could invest in meaningful relationships or activities that truly matter to them. 5. The hidden cost of pursuing status. The financial burden. Trying to maintain an ostentatious lifestyle often leads to debt, stress, and a constant feeling of dissatisfaction. The what's next trap. People who reach a level of material wealth tend to want more, perpetuating an endless cycle of status seeking that never fully satisfies. 6. Historical and personal examples. Invisible millionaires. Housel mentions that many of the wealthiest and most successful people aren't defined by their material possessions, but by their impact on others and the freedom they've achieved. A CEO's story. A high-profile executive who drove an average car shared that he preferred to use his money to spend more time with his family rather than maintain a flashy lifestyle. 7. How to redefine status. Focus on true respect. Genuine respect and admiration come from values such as generosity, humility, and authenticity, not from the things you own. Invest in meaningful experiences. Housel recommends prioritizing activities that bring happiness and relationships that strengthen your life, rather than material possessions that only impress superficially. 8. Final reflection. The paradox of the man in the car reminds us that true status doesn't come from what you have, but from who you are and how you impact others. The author concludes that by stopping the pursuit of empty symbols of status, we can find a more authentic and lasting happiness. This chapter encourages the reader to question their motivations for seeking wealth and status, and to rethink what truly brings them satisfaction and genuine respect. Chapter 10. Wealth is what you don't see. 1. Introduction. Housel examines how real wealth isn't what is openly displayed in terms of luxury or material possessions, But what is hidden? Savings, investments, and financial security. This chapter explores how the obsession with appearances of wealth can lead to financial decisions that hinder the accumulation of true wealth. 2. The difference between being rich and looking rich. The concept of invisible wealth. Visible wealth, cars, luxurious homes, designer clothes, is what most people associate with success. However, true wealth lies in the money that isn't spent and remains available to generate more income. Practical example. Someone who owns a luxury car may not have significant savings, while another person with a modest lifestyle may be accumulating millions in investments. 3. The trap of appearing wealthy. The cost of appearances. People often spend on material goods to impress others, but this behavior drains resources that could be used to build real wealth. The paradox of visible spending. Housel mentions that the more you spend to show off wealth, the less money you have to actually become wealthy. 4. The importance of saving. Saving as a signal of invisible wealth. Saving is not visible to others, but it is the most important indicator of stability and financial success. The power of silent decisions. Every time you decide not to spend, you are making a decision that strengthens your financial position in the long term. Historical example. Housel mentions stories of billionaires who lived frugally and accumulated wealth because they didn't feel the need to show off their success. 5. The misconception of luxury. Luxury as a misguided symbol. Many people see luxury as a reward or a symbol of status, when in reality it is a sign of consumption. Practical example. An executive who buys an expensive yacht may seem successful, but if they had to go into debt to acquire it, their real financial situation could be precarious. 6. Lessons from the truly rich. Frugal millionaires. Housel mentions studies showing that most millionaires live below their means, invest wisely, and don't feel the need to impress others. The value of financial freedom. For the truly rich, wealth is not measured by what they have, but by what they can do, make free decisions, have time, and not worry about financial problems. 7. How to build real wealth. Focus on saving and investing. The key to building wealth is spending less than you earn and putting the difference to work through smart investments. Avoid social comparisons. The pressure to compete with others in terms of material goods can be destructive to your financial well-being. Invest in what matters. Instead of spending on ostentatious goods, invest in things that truly improve your life, such as education, experiences, or a solid emergency fund. 8. Final reflection. True wealth is invisible because it's not about what you show, but what you keep. It's not about what you spend, but what you preserve and how you use it to generate more freedom and security. Housel concludes that building wealth requires a shift in mindset. Stop worrying about impressing others and focus on what truly matters for your future. This chapter encourages the reader to reconsider the relationship between money and status, and to focus on building real and sustainable wealth that doesn't need to be demonstrated. Chapter 11. Saving Money. 1. Introduction. In this chapter, Housel explains that saving money is not about how much you earn, but how much you decide not to spend. Saving is a powerful tool that provides flexibility, independence, and options, which are essential for long-term financial success. 2. Saving as a universal tool. It's not just for the rich. Housel emphasizes that you don't need to be a millionaire to save. It's a practice accessible to anyone, regardless of income level. Saving as freedom. Having savings allows you to make decisions based on what you want to do, not on what you need to do. Example: being able to change jobs, take vacations, or face emergencies without going into debt. 3. Why don't people save more? The pressure of consumption. Modern society is designed to incentivize immediate consumption, from advertising to the ease of credit. Social comparisons. Many people feel the need to spend in order to keep up with others, which reduces their ability to save. Lack of clear goals. Housel suggests that people who don't save often lack specific financial goals, making it difficult to motivate themselves to save money. 4. Saving without a specific purpose. The power of flexible saving. It's often taught that saving should be linked to a specific goal, like buying a house or retiring. Housel argues that saving without a defined purpose is equally valuable because it prepares you for the unexpected. Practical example. Having sufficient savings can help you take advantage of unexpected opportunities, like starting a business or weathering an unforeseen crisis. 5. The relationship between saving and control. More savings, more control. Saving money not only improves your financial stability but also gives you more control over your life. Example. A person with savings can turn down a job they hate, while someone without savings may feel trapped in their current situation. 6. Saving more through conscious spending. Identify what you truly value. Housel suggests that people reflect on what truly matters to them rather than spending automatically. Example. Cutting expenses in areas that don't bring you happiness, like unused subscriptions, and redirecting those savings toward your priorities. Avoid unnecessary debt. Debt is the enemy of saving. Spending less than you earn is the only way to ensure you always have a surplus to save. 7. Lessons from rich and frugal people. Example of Ronald Read. Housel again mentions Ronald Read, a janitor who accumulated millions of dollars, not because he earned a lot, but because he saved aggressively and invested for the long term. The focus on simplicity. Many wealthy people, like Warren Buffett, practice frugality because they understand the value of keeping expenses low to maximize savings. 8. Saving and patience. Long-term saving. Saving may seem slow and insignificant at first, but over time, small savings grow exponentially thanks to compound interest. The key is consistency. It doesn't matter how much you can save initially, what matters is doing it consistently. 9. Final reflection. Housel concludes that saving is the most underrated and least glamorous financial skill, but it is also one of the most important. Saving not only builds wealth but also gives you the freedom to live life on your own terms, facing both opportunities and challenges with confidence and control. This chapter emphasizes the importance of saving as a universal tool that enables wealth building, managing uncertainties, and achieving greater autonomy in life. Chapter 12. Reasonable, rational. 1. Introduction. Housel introduces a key idea. When it comes to money, it's not always necessary to be completely rational, it's better to be reasonable. Perfect financial decisions in theory don't always work in practice because they don't take into account individual emotions and circumstances. 2. The difference between rational and reasonable. Rational decisions. These are decisions based on data, logic, and mathematical models. They aim to optimize outcomes without considering emotional factors. Reasonable decisions. Reasonable decisions. These are decisions that take into account both logical and emotional aspects, being more practical and sustainable in the long run. Practical example. Investing all your money in stocks might be the rational decision from a long-term perspective, but if market volatility causes you stress and makes you sell at the worst time, it is not a reasonable decision for you. 3. The role of emotions in finance. Why ignoring emotions is dangerous. While logic may dictate a financial strategy, emotions are often what drive our actions. Recognizing this helps you make more sustainable decisions. Practical example. Many people prefer to pay off their mortgages quickly, even when calculations suggest that investing the money might be more profitable. This is not rational, but it is reasonable because it brings peace of mind. 4. The subjectivity of financial decisions. Everyone has their own definition of financial success. For some, maximizing wealth may be the primary goal, while for others, minimizing stress and uncertainty is more important. Historical example. Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett's mentor, invested conservatively even though he had enough knowledge to take bigger risks. For him, stability was more valuable than potential returns. 5. The human bias toward reasonableness. How reasonableness guides our decisions. Housel argues that people tend to act based on what makes them feel comfortable, even if it means achieving suboptimal financial outcomes. Example. Saving in a low-interest savings account may not be rational, but it is reasonable for those who prioritize security and liquidity. 6. Reasonable investment decisions. Invest in what you understand. A reasonable decision is to invest in instruments you fully understand, even if they don't maximize your returns. Diversification. Diversification might seem irrational from a maximization perspective, but it's reasonable because it reduces risk and the stress associated with investing. 7. The danger of perfection. Seeking the perfect decision can backfire. Housel warns that trying to find the perfect financial strategy can lead to analysis paralysis or decisions that don't align with your personal reality. Example: a perfectly optimized investment strategy could be ineffective if you can't emotionally stick to it during tough times. 8. How to balance rational and reasonable. Focus on sustainable decisions. The goal isn't to maximize every dollar, but to find a balance that works for you and that you can maintain in the long run. Embrace imperfection. Recognizing that your decisions won't always be optimal is part of being reasonable. What matters is that they are decisions you are comfortable with and that support your goals. 9. Final reflection. Housel concludes that financial success isn't about following a perfect manual, but finding an approach that works for you and your unique circumstances. By prioritizing reasonableness over rationality, you can make decisions that are not only financially sound but also emotionally sustainable. This chapter encourages readers to adopt a more human approach to money, recognizing that our emotions and personal preferences are just as important as mathematical calculations in financial decision-making. Chapter 13. Surprise. 1. Introduction. Housel addresses the inevitability of the unexpected in financial life. Surprises, both positive and negative, are part of the process, and our ability to anticipate and manage the unexpected defines our financial success. 2. Uncertainty as the norm. The unpredictability in the economy. Housel explains that financial and economic models often fail because they cannot anticipate surprise events, such as financial crises or disruptive innovations. Example: no one accurately predicted the magnitude of the 2008 financial crisis or the global impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The importance of accepting uncertainty. Instead of trying to predict every detail, it is more practical to recognize that surprises will happen and prepare for them. 3. Surprise events and their consequences. The impact of black swans. Housel mentions the concept of black swans, unexpected high-impact events, and how they can redefine markets, industries, and even individual lives. Historical example. The invention of the Internet was a positive black swan that transformed the global economy. The retrospective bias. After surprises occur, we tend to rationalize them as if they were obvious, which gives us a false sense of security about our ability to predict the future. 4. Examples of surprises in finance. Technological innovations. Companies like Apple or Amazon completely changed their industries. These transformations were impossible to foresee in their early stages. Economic crises. The Great Depression, the dot-com bubble, and the 2008 crisis are examples of events that significantly altered financial markets. 5. Preparing for the unexpected. Build a margin of safety. Having additional savings and avoiding complete reliance on predictions is essential to facing the unexpected. Practical example. Saving more than necessary might seem conservative, but it provides protection against negative surprises. Diversify. Diversifying investments reduces the risk of being completely affected by an unexpected event in a specific sector or asset. 6. Patience as an advantage. Taking advantage of the unexpected in the long run. While short-term surprises can be destabilizing, in the long run, they tend to create new opportunities. Example: the initial market drop during a crisis can be an opportunity to invest at lower prices if you have the patience and available resources. 7. The importance of flexibility. Adapting to changes. Housel suggests maintaining a flexible mindset and being willing to adjust your financial plans as new circumstances arise. Practical example. An investor who can change strategies without emotionally attaching to a specific view will be better prepared to face the unexpected. 8. Reflection on our limitations. Accepting that we cannot foresee everything. Recognizing our limitations as human beings helps us adopt a more humble and prepared approach to money. Personal example. Housel shares how even financial experts are often surprised by events they could not anticipate. 9. Key lessons. Plan for the unexpected. Having a margin of safety and being flexible are the best ways to handle surprises. Avoid relying too much on predictions. Instead of obsessing over trying to predict every detail of the future, adopt an approach that allows you to adapt when things change. 10. Final reflection. Financial life is full of surprises, and our ability to manage them defines our stability and success. Housel concludes that by accepting uncertainty as a normal part of the process, we can better prepare ourselves to face challenges and take advantage of unexpected opportunities. This chapter reinforces the idea that while we cannot control everything in our finances, we can prepare for the unpredictable and build a solid foundation that allows us to adapt. Chapter 14. Space for Error. 1. Introduction. In this chapter, Housel addresses the importance of incorporating a margin of safety into our financial decisions to protect ourselves from the unexpected. Having space for error is not a sign of weakness, but rather a crucial tool for long-term survival and success. 2. What does space for error mean? Definition of the concept. Housel defines space for error as a margin of safety that allows you to withstand setbacks and unexpected changes without losing stability. The need for a financial cushion. This may include additional savings, diversified investments, or planning that doesn't rely on everything going perfectly. 3. The survival mindset. Surviving is winning. Housel emphasizes that in finance, the primary goal is survival. No matter how smart you are, if you cannot weather tough times, you will not have the opportunity to prosper in the future. Practical example. An investor with a well-diversified portfolio can withstand a market downturn without liquidating their assets, allowing them to benefit from the subsequent recovery. 4. The role of cautious optimism. Optimism with caution. Being optimistic about the future does not mean ignoring risks. Rather, it involves being prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Historical example. Companies like Amazon have thrived because their founder, Jeff Bezos, always planned with a margin of error, anticipating potential failures and growth slowdowns. 5. Financial examples of the margin of safety. Save more than necessary. Housel suggests that saving more than you think you need is not excessive, but rather a way to prepare for emergencies, unexpected opportunities, or changes in your circumstances. Live below your means. Maintaining a modest lifestyle relative to your income creates a margin that allows you to face periods of reduced income or unexpected expenses. 6. Risks of not having a margin for error. The danger of perfection. Planning without a margin of error assumes everything will go as planned. This can be disastrous when something unexpected occurs. Example. An entrepreneur who invests all their capital into a single project assumes an unnecessarily high risk if the business fails. The domino effect. A lack of margin can turn a small setback into a major crisis, as there are no resources to mitigate the impact. 7. Lessons from the real world. Aviation and the margin of safety. Housel compares the concept to aviation, where pilots always carry more fuel than necessary to handle unexpected diversions or adverse conditions. For many conservative investments. Warren Buffett emphasizes the importance of the margin of safety when investing. This means buying assets at prices below their intrinsic value to protect against mistakes in analysis. Space for error and peace of mind. Less stress, better decisions. Having a financial cushion reduces stress and pressure in decision-making, allowing you to act more rationally and less impulsively. Practical example. Someone with a 6-month emergency fund can face job loss without panic while searching for new opportunities. 9. How to build space for error. Save aggressively. Housel recommends saving more than seems necessary because the future always holds surprises. Diversify income sources. Having multiple income streams reduces the impact of losing one of them. Avoid unnecessary debt. Minimizing debt reduces financial pressure and increases your ability to absorb economic shocks. 10. Final reflection. Housel concludes that space for error is an essential tool for long-term financial success. It provides flexibility, reduces stress, and increases your chances of surviving and thriving in an uncertain world. The key is not to maximize every financial decision, but to ensure that you can withstand the inevitably bad ones. This chapter reinforces the importance of planning for the unexpected, not as a sign of weakness, but as a smart strategy to ensure your financial stability and success over time. Chapter 15. You are going to change. 1. Introduction. Housel explores how our goals, priorities, and views on money change over time. What we consider important today may not hold the same weight in the future, making it necessary to adopt a flexible and adaptive mindset in our financial decisions. 2. The inevitability of change. The dynamics of life. Our needs, desires, and circumstances evolve over time. This is a natural part of growing and accumulating new experiences. Practical example. At 20 years old, a person may prioritize spending on travel and experiences, while at 40, they may focus on financial stability and saving for retirement. 3. The present bias. Underestimating future change. Housel mentions that people tend to overestimate how much they will stay the same in the future, which leads to financial decisions that don't align with their future needs. Psychological example. In a study, participants were asked to imagine what they would be like in 10 years. Most underestimated how much their interests and priorities would change. 4. How change affects financial goals. Evolving goals. A person might work aggressively to reach a goal, like buying a large house, only to later realize that it's no longer what they truly desire. The importance of adaptability. Recognizing that our goals and desires will change helps us make more flexible decisions that can adjust over time. 5. The paradox of long-term planning. Planning for the future in a changing world. Housel suggests that while it's important to plan long-term, we must also leave room to adjust our strategies as our priorities evolve. Practical example. A person who aggressively invests to retire early might change their mind later and choose to work in something they are passionate about, reducing the need for early retirement. 6. Investments and changes in perspective. The risk of overcommitting. Housel warns against making permanent financial decisions based on temporary goals. For example, committing large amounts of money to illiquid assets can be problematic if your needs change. Diversification as an adaptive strategy. Diversification not only protects against financial risks but also provides flexibility to adjust your decisions as your priorities evolve. 7. The value of constant introspection. Regularly reevaluate. Housel recommends that people take time regularly to reflect on their goals and ensure that their financial decisions are still aligned with what they truly desire. Practical example. Reviewing your financial goals annually and adjusting them according to your current situation can help you stay on a more relevant course. 8. Financial flexibility for change. Having options. Saving more than necessary and living below your means gives you the freedom to change course when your priorities evolve. Avoid rigid commitments. Avoiding unnecessary debt and maintaining liquidity allows you to adapt quickly to unforeseen changes in your life. 9. Key lessons. Patience as a virtue. Accepting that your goals may change over time helps you avoid rushing into important financial decisions. The importance of humility. Recognizing that you cannot predict all future circumstances fosters more realistic planning and openness to change. 10. Final reflection. Housel concludes that change is an inevitable part of life and embracing it can lead to wiser and more sustainable financial decisions. The key is to plan with flexibility, leaving space to evolve and adapt to new priorities and circumstances. This chapter emphasizes the importance of understanding that our financial goals are not static and that we must be flexible enough to adjust them as we grow and change. Chapter 16. Nothing is free. 1. Introduction. Housel discusses how everything in life, including financial success, comes at a cost, though it's not always paid with money. Time, effort, uncertainty, and risk are invisible costs that many people overlook. 2. The cost of investments. The price of success in the market. Investing in the stock market doesn't have a visible price tag like a purchase label, but the real cost is enduring volatility, uncertainty, and temporary downturns. Practical example. Many people abandon their investments during a market downturn because they are unwilling to pay the emotional cost of holding firm. 3. The consumer versus investor mindset. The mistake of seeking results without cost. Housel mentions that many people expect high returns without taking on risks or facing uncertainty, which is unrealistic. Practical example. An investor who only seeks assets without volatility will generally achieve much lower returns over the long term. 4. Non-monetary costs of financial success. Time and patience. Building wealth requires time, something that many people underestimate. Housel argues that the price of financial success is the patience to wait for investments to mature. Emotional stress. Enduring uncertainty and tough decisions are also part of the cost of being financially successful. Historical example. Warren Buffett built most of his wealth after the age of 50, demonstrating the value of patience and long-term commitment. 5. The cost of failure. Avoiding failure has a price. Many people avoid risks because they fear failure, but this also has a cost, the loss of opportunities. Practical example. Someone who never invests for fear of losing money pays the price of missing out on potential returns. 6. How to accept and manage costs. Identify hidden costs. Understanding that every financial decision has a price, whether visible or not, helps you plan better. Accept the price. Recognizing that enduring the cost of uncertainty, time, or effort is an inevitable part of the process. Practical example. An entrepreneur who invests long hours with no guarantee of success understands that the initial sacrifice is the cost of building a successful business. 7. Price as a privilege. Change the perspective. Instead of seeing the price as a barrier, Housel suggests viewing it as a privilege. Having the opportunity to pay that price, time, risk, uncertainty, means you're in the game. Practical example. Enduring market downturns is the price of participating in a system that has historically generated wealth in the long run. 8. The cost of social comparisons. Social pressure. Housel mentions that the desire to compare yourself to others also has a cost, as it can lead to spending more than necessary or taking on unnecessary risks. Practical example. Someone who buys a luxury car just to impress others is paying a high financial and emotional price to maintain appearances. 9. Key reflection. Success has a price. Nothing in life, especially in finances, is truly free. Accepting and planning for these costs is essential to building sustainable wealth. 10. Final reflection. Housel concludes that, to achieve financial success, you must identify and accept both visible and invisible costs. By doing so, you can make more informed decisions and maintain a realistic perspective on what it takes to achieve your goals. This chapter underscores the importance of understanding that all financial achievements have a price, whether it be time, effort, patience, or uncertainty, and that accepting these costs is key to long-term success. Chapter 17. You and Me. 1. Introduction. In this chapter, Housel discusses how money affects personal relationships and how our financial decisions are influenced by the perceptions, values, and expectations of those around us. Finance is not just an individual matter. Our social interactions deeply shape how we earn, spend, and save. 2. The social impact of money. 2. Money as a social tool. Money not only satisfies material needs, but also acts as a form of communication and connection between people. Practical example. Spending on gifts, dinners, or social events is a way to build and strengthen relationships, but it can also create financial tensions if not managed properly. 3. How relationships shape financial decisions. Influence of family and friends. Family expectations, social comparisons, and friends' opinions influence our financial choices. Practical example. A person may spend more than they can afford on a wedding or vacation to meet others' expectations. Invisible social pressure. Even without realizing it, we may adjust our financial behavior to align with the values of those around us. 4. The impact of money on personal relationships. Financial tensions. Money is one of the leading causes of conflict in relationships, especially in marriage. Differences in priorities, spending habits, and savings can lead to friction. Practical example. A couple where one member is a saver and the other is a spender may have frequent disagreements on how to handle joint finances. The importance of communication. Housel emphasizes that openly discussing money and financial expectations is essential to avoid misunderstandings and conflicts. 5. Social comparison and its risks. The trap of comparisons. Comparing our financial success to others can lead to irrational decisions, such as spending more to keep up appearances or taking unnecessary risks. Practical example. Buying a luxury car simply because a neighbor did can negatively impact your finances in the long term without providing real satisfaction. The problem of social media. Housel points out that social media amplifies these comparisons, as it often shows idealized and superficial versions of others' wealth. 6. How to build healthy financial relationships. Set clear boundaries. Housel suggests defining what you are willing to spend on social activities and gifts to avoid unnecessary pressures. Prioritize honesty. Openly talking with friends and family about your financial goals can help manage expectations and reduce tensions. Value experiences over material goods. Instead of spending on things to impress, invest in experiences that build deeper connections with others. 7. The balance between generosity and sustainability. Be generous without compromising your future. Helping others financially can be rewarding, but it's important to ensure that you don't jeopardize your own financial stability. Practical example. Setting a budget for charity or helping family members can help you be generous in a sustainable way. 8. Reflection on financial independence. Money as a tool for personal freedom. While money has a social impact, it's also important to use it to achieve personal goals and not just to meet others' expectations. Practical example. A person who prioritizes their own financial goals, such as saving for retirement, may feel more secure and less influenced by external pressures. 9. Key reflection. The balance between you and me. Financial success is not only measured by what you achieve personally but also by how it impacts and balances with your relationships with others. Focus on what really matters. Housel suggests that we should focus our financial decisions on building authentic relationships and aligning them with our personal values. 10. Final reflection. Personal finances do not exist in a vacuum. They are intrinsically tied to our relationships and how we interact with the world. Housel concludes that understanding and managing these social dynamics is key to achieving a balanced and fulfilling financial life. This chapter emphasizes how our relationships and social environment influence our financial decisions, and how we can find a balance between our personal goals and the expectations of those around us. Chapter 18. The Seduction of Pessimism. 1. Introduction. Housel explores why pessimism is more seductive and believable than optimism, especially in the financial realm. Bad news tends to capture our attention, influence our decisions, and often divert us from our long-term goals. 2. Why pessimism feels more realistic. Evolutionary bias toward negativity. Throughout history, paying attention to threats was essential for survival. This bias toward pessimism is reflected in how we react to negative financial news. Practical example. A market drop attracts more attention than a long period of stable growth, even though the latter has a more significant impact on long-term wealth accumulation. 3. Optimism is often silent. Progress is slow and cumulative. Financial optimism, such as the growth of long-term investments, happens gradually and may go unnoticed. Historical example. Despite wars, crises, and recessions, financial markets have consistently grown over decades, but these trends are often overshadowed by alarming headlines. 4. The impact of pessimism on financial decisions. Fear-driven paralysis. Housel mentions that pessimism can lead to emotional decisions, such as selling investments at the worst time or avoiding reasonable risks. Practical example. During the 2008 financial crisis, many investors sold their stocks at low prices, missing the recovery that followed. 5. Headlines as amplifiers of pessimism. The sensationalist nature of financial news. News tends to focus on negative events because they generate more interest and clicks. This amplifies the perception that crises are more common than they really are. Practical example. A headline about a market drop can make investors ignore the historical context of overall growth. 6. The paradox of pessimism. Bad things seem immediate, good things take time. Pessimism focuses on quick, visible events like a recession, while optimism builds slowly and requires patience. Practical example. A recession may last a year, but a bull market could extend for a decade. 7. How to avoid the pessimism trap. Focus on the long term. Recognize that declines and crises are inevitable, but they do not define the final outcome. Maintaining a long-term perspective is key. Accepting volatility. Housel suggests viewing volatility as the price you pay for participating in the markets, not as a problem to be avoided. Practical example. Investing in diversified indices and holding investments for decades, even during periods of crisis, has proven to be a successful strategy. 8. The importance of informed optimism. Optimism based on facts, not hope. Housel does not advocate ignoring risks, but rather recognizing that, overall, progress and growth are dominant trends in the global economy. Historical example. Despite numerous challenges, life expectancy, global incomes, and access to technology have consistently improved over the past century. 9. Key reflection. The balance between optimism and realism. While pessimism attracts more attention, adopting a balanced perspective, based on historical context and data, can help you make better financial decisions. Patience as a virtue. Housel emphasizes that long-term optimism requires patience to endure temporary declines and stay focused on long-term goals. 10. Final reflection. Pessimism may be convincing, but it rarely leads to financial success. Housel concludes that adopting a realistic optimism, combined with a long-term mindset, is the key to building wealth and navigating the inevitable uncertainties along the way. This chapter underscores the importance of not being swayed by fear and maintaining a grounded, positive perspective to achieve long-term financial success. Chapter 19. When you will believe in something. 1. Introduction. Housel discusses the importance of having solid financial principles in a world full of uncertainty and contradictions. Believing in something provides a framework for making consistent decisions, even in times of stress or doubt. 2. The need for financial convictions. Principles as anchors. Having a clear philosophy about money helps you stay steady during times of volatility or uncertainty. Practical example. An investor who believes in the power of the long-term market is less likely to sell during a temporary downturn, sticking to their strategy. 3. The influence of environment on your beliefs. How your financial principles are formed. Our personal experiences and the environment in which we grew up shape our beliefs about money. Historical example. A person who grew up during a recession may be more cautious about financial risks, while someone raised in a bull market may be more optimistic about investing. 4. The importance of consistency. Avoiding impulsive reactions. Changing strategies with every new piece of information or event can be detrimental. Believing in something gives you stability and direction. Practical example. An investor who constantly switches between short and long-term strategies due to market news may end up with inconsistent returns. 5. The danger of believing in nothing. Fragmented decisions. Lacking clear financial principles can lead to impulsive or contradictory decisions. Practical example. Someone who doesn't have a philosophy about saving might overspend during good times and then run out of resources during bad times. 6. Believing in the power of uncertainty. Accepting the unpredictable. Housel suggests that, rather than trying to predict the future with precision, it is better to believe in the power of adaptability and flexibility. Practical example. A financial plan that includes a safety margin for unforeseen events reflects this philosophy. 7. How to build your financial beliefs. Base them on experience and evidence. Housel recommends forming your financial principles based on personal experience and historical data, not on trends or generic advice. Practical example. If you have seen the power of compound interest in your investments, you will more easily believe in the importance of long-term saving. 8. Adapting your beliefs as you evolve. Flexibility within a solid framework. While it's important to have principles, you should also be flexible enough to adjust them as your circumstances change or as you learn new lessons. Practical example. In the beginning, you may prioritize income growth, but over time, you might focus more on wealth preservation. 9. The connection between principles and financial success. The peace of having a true north. Believing in something gives you confidence and peace of mind, reducing stress and allowing you to focus on what truly matters. Practical example. Someone who firmly believes in the importance of saving will be less influenced by social pressures to spend on material goods. 10. Final reflection. Housel concludes that in a financial world full of uncertainty, having clear convictions is essential for making consistent decisions and achieving long-term success. The key is not believing in everything, but finding the few things that truly matter and building your financial strategy around them. This chapter highlights the importance of developing solid, well-founded principles to guide your financial decisions, even in the most challenging times. Chapter 20. Confessions. 1. Introduction. In the final chapter, Housel shares personal reflections and key lessons about money based on his own experiences and observations. This chapter serves as a summary of the book, emphasizing the most important lessons and offering practical advice to apply in daily life. 2. Housel's personal relationship with money. His perspective. Housel reveals how his approach to money has changed over time, shifting from seeking accumulation and financial success to prioritizing freedom and peace of mind. Personal example. The author mentions that, although he could spend more on luxuries, he prefers to live below his means to have more control over his time and decisions. 3. The power of humility and patience. Accepting what you can't control. Housel confesses that one of the greatest financial challenges is accepting that you can't foresee or control everything. Practical example. Rather than obsessing over market predictions, the author focuses his decisions on what he can control, saving more, diversifying, and maintaining a long-term perspective. 4. Simplicity as a financial philosophy. Simple decisions, solid results. Housel admits that he used to overcomplicate his financial strategies, but now he focuses on simple and sustainable decisions. Practical example. He prefers index funds and consistent saving over complicated strategies that require a lot of time and analysis. 5. Money as a tool, not a goal. Changing the focus. The author emphasizes that money should be seen as a means to achieve personal goals, not as an end in itself. Personal lesson. Housel mentions that his greatest satisfaction doesn't come from how much money he has, but from what it allows him to do. Spend time with his family and have the freedom to work on what he's passionate about. 6. Reflections on failure. Learning from mistakes. Housel confesses that he has made financial mistakes, and these have taught him more than any success. Practical example. Investing in projects that failed showed him the importance of having a margin of safety and not risking everything on a single bet. 7. The legacy of money. What it means to leave an impact. Housel reflects on how money can be a tool to leave a positive impact, whether through philanthropy or ensuring the stability of your family. Personal lesson. The author prefers to focus on how his money can improve lives, rather than using it to demonstrate status. 8. Final advice. Make peace with uncertainty. Accept that there will always be risks and not every decision will be perfect. Focus on what you can control. Saving more, spending less, and maintaining a long-term mindset are strategies that always work, regardless of external conditions. Define your own version of success. Housel emphasizes that each person should define what financial success means for them and not be swayed by others' expectations. 9. Final reflection. Housel concludes the book by reminding readers that money is deeply personal. There is no one-size-fits-all formula, but decisions based on solid, thoughtful principles tend to lead to better outcomes. His main message is that when money is managed well, it can be a powerful tool to create a freer, fuller, and more meaningful life. This chapter closes the book with an introspective and motivational tone, encouraging the reader to reflect on their own relationship with money and use it in a way that supports their values and personal goals. The psychology of money is not a set of rigid rules or a magic formula for financial success. It's an invitation to reflect on our relationship with money, recognize our emotions, and make decisions that truly support our personal goals and values. Morgan Housel reminds us that financial success is not only measured by how much we accumulate, but by the freedom, security, and peace of mind we are able to create in our lives. Money should be a tool that works for you, not a burden that dictates your decisions or pulls you away from what really matters. Ultimately, what matters most is not how much money you have, but how you use it to build the life you desire. Balance, patience, humility, and adaptability are your greatest allies on this journey. Subscribe to keep learning. If you enjoyed this content and want to continue exploring strategies and practical lessons to improve your finances, don't forget to subscribe. Here you'll find more tools, reflections, and guides to apply these principles in your day-to-day life. Share this knowledge. Invite others to discover the importance of the psychology of money. Be part of this community. Join and share your financial experiences as we keep learning together. Thank you for making it this far. Your journey towards a fuller financial life starts now.